We are ready?
Okay. Ciao everybody, welcome to my house. You can come inside. This is the room where everything is created. Basically, all the ideas, all the work, all the initial part, where every collection, every research is started. So that's where me, also with my team, we work together inside here in different times of the day. And today we talk to you about Myar. I will talk to you about how we customize a specific kind of product. But well, I'll start with Myar. Myar is the anagram of army. Everything that we pick is based on army clothing. Um, is the fact that we bring the past, used past, military past, refit in the present and use it in the future. Our claim is a modern view of the past, and we love this bridge between in the present time between the past and the future. We know that military clothing has always been connotated with a negative impression, but we love also to give a second chance. So if we can do that while customizing a product that has some feature, technical feature, shape feature, dysfunctional, military clothing, it's for me one of the best types of garment that all the fashion community takes inspiration from. And we go directly on the base of the real garment that is used by different type of military soldier on the training part system after the Second World War, so from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and also 2000. So we take that in big warehouses where you see all this huge pile of clothing, and it's very impressive because when you go there, it looks like a skyscraper of clothing, but it's all that stock of used garment. And we love to give from the usage of before, taking different pieces and customizing in the present time and resell it in the future for future use. So I will talk to you now about a process that involved woodblock stamping. It's unfortunately it's not the original woodblock in Indian woodblock, but we have the base is wood and the rubber is the part where there is the graphic. So what we do is that we study very well the past of military garments, and I have here a few samples. For instance, this actually is great to know. This is a Japanese pants from after Second World War, and all military garments they didn't have jacquard label, so they stamped everything. If you see here, it's all written in Japanese. Unfortunately, I don't know how to read it, but a friend that works with me for sure is the one that knows better Japanese people, the Japanese language. And so we take the inspiration coming from the past. Also, for instance, this is actually a US accessories. This is used for to fold it on the ground to take people away, let's say. And but the stamping here, it's done with a wood block. So that thing is that we take the past and bring it back to the present for future use. So what we've done here is that we've been taking different military garments and empty, they're originally empty, but we stamp with the ink. So the graphic of the stamp is a camouflage. It's actually a camouflage that comes from Belgium, but this camouflage is usually huge. It's very huge. So imagine that to have a wood stamp that is this big is very difficult for the users. So we cut the pattern of the camouflage Usually it's this big, and we make it into different parts. So to make it easier for the production, how this is done? So basically, we have ink. This ink actually is a type of ink that works on fabric. It's not the ink of the for paper, but this ink is stamped into is used for the stamping of this garment. Sorry for my English, I'm not the best talker. But so what we do is that on the piece of paper, we ink stamped just to see the shape of the camouflage. We cut it, and after we apply it to the garment. Today we're going to use two types of garment. One is a Swedish pants, army pants from the 80s. It's beautiful because this Swedish army pants is always with this color, a beautiful green, almost like a musk type of green. And this pants for me is one of the best in terms of fitting, in terms of practicality, functionality, and it was when we see it, we always remember as just a solid green color. But when after we saw it, we were like saying, "Wow! Imagine if this would be camouflage," and that's why we put the ink camouflage on top of this. And the other part, it's actually a sweatshirt, 90s sweatshirt that comes from different type of college or towns in the US. But the military vibe that we give is just to give this flavor of camouflage on top of Washington, New York, Miami in this case, type of college to give a different look at the original look that it was born. So originally they all comes like this, the sweatshirt. I'm gonna start with the sweatshirt. They're all at different graphics. So this a lot of people collect them just like this, vintage market. Okay, and we fill it. We placing the piece of paper that I showed you before in the garment. This is the process that is very interesting because you have a graphic that every graphic is different, every shape is a little bit different, and you want to have the camouflage within the original graphic that the college sweatshirt has. So we place it in a way that it could be interesting to wear it, and we imagine it done. So after we do, if we like the pattern, we take it with a pink stamper. In order to do this, you need to have a plexi underneath, so you have a more solid base. So you take this, and you press it. Every garment will be different because the millimeter, the centimeters, the pattern always change. So you never will have the same type of pattern. So every item is unique. You press it well, and by the pressure that you do, this will give you the tone of the inking. Sometimes it can be more ink, sometimes less. Sometimes you have a fading, sometimes you have a more bold solid black. So every time it's impossible to have a similar pattern, similar type of pressure, so that the graphic change all the time with the garment. As you do this with all of the stamping. This, for instance, is when we imagine this, for us is a canvas, and we have to fill the canvas. We also do some experiment. We want to go out of the canvas. That's why here, for instance, when we do this will come out of the canvas of the sweatshirt. So now the pattern will come out, you know. So it looks like that is bigger the scale of the lover. So we do this for all of the garments. So let's try to do this. Maybe I should put more ink because any pressure. Yeah, I mean, I love when you take it off because you will never know how it will come out. But it's beautiful because you think, oh, maybe I did too much ink or maybe too much less. But every time it comes out in a different shade of black. And for me, it's nice because this gives the originality and the uniqueness of this product. So I'm gonna start also with the pants, but you understand the process. Once it's ready, let's say, you put it on the floor to dry because the front needs to be dry. Or you can just, if you have an iron, you go here with a cloth, white cloth. You put it on top of the stamping part, the ink stamping part, and you iron it. It's important to do this because if you want the ink to absorb into the fabric and the fiber, it stays more time. Otherwise, if you wash it for the first, second time, it might fade out. So you have to, with the vapor, you have to iron it this. So just to show you the final result, back and forth, this is what it will be looking like. Basically, we have a camouflage sweatshirt that belonged to a college, to a university of Florida. Okay, so now this Florida University will be with a Belgian camouflage. Going back to the Swedish camouflage, I mean, to the Swedish pants. You have to understand that that was a sweatshirt. So sweatshirt is in knit construction. Knit construction is more bulky, and the absorption of the ink will be less than a woven because woven is flat, and the saturation of the color will be much more intense in the pants. So the pants will be more have more vibrant camouflage than the sweatshirt. Then every jersey and sweat type of meat. Always check that the ink it's everywhere in the rubber because sometimes there are some spots that are not filled with the tampon here, and so it might not come out after when you press it. It should be fine. So I put the plexi underneath here. Now I'm gonna go freestyle. I'm not gonna place the whole graphics there, but pretty much I've done this so many times, so I kind of know more or less where I kind of want this, the bigger elements and the small elements. By the way, this is nice to have a different type of format of elements of the camouflage. This is the bigger, this is the smallest. I also have a middle one. So you can kind of fill the space within the right geometric area, and this will be giving a better quality of evenness to the garment. You know, all this material that we find, these items, this garment, it's items that we find everywhere in the world. Basically, we love to vintage market. We love military market. We love any type of market that has some sort of vintage and used clothing. And the military is always the one that we pick the most, and we love to buy. We meet people inside this market, and through these people, and sometimes these people are really supplier of their big warehouses, and we meet them, and after we go to meet them in their house, in their facilities, and we basically see this huge amount of quantity of military garments that are there piled up one top of the other, and there we go and pick up. You know, we love to have our hands very dirty, and but this is the beautiful part of the work in my art. That once we see something, we see like under in there this cover in the dark alley, and we take it off, and we're like, wow, have you seen this green? Have you seen this khaki? Have you seen this navy? Have you seen this jacket? Did you see the pocket? So we dream about how we want to customize the product. Everything starts with a creative team, where sometimes we have an idea of how we want to customize. And based on this, we select the product. So it's important this part because once we go there to these vintage warehouses, I mean to these military warehouses, we create also there. It's not that we before we do sketches or anything, but it happened that there naturally we think on how we want to customize. We try on the product, and we see how this product from the original garment, wearing it, can become in the future. So let's see now. Stamp. Voila. So it's more black, you see. So the saturation of the color, the ink absorption is different in the woven rather than the knit. You see the space, more or less you have a shape here, so you pretty much try to fit the shape upside down or on the reverse and see if you can work out there. After you have done 10 of these, your eyes becomes more prepared, so the mistakes is less. But actually, we love to have to do mistakes because that mistake sometimes gives you the quality of the garment, the uniqueness in the garment. We don't have the quality control, let's say, in Myar, because actually this is already used garment. This is already garment that have already a past. And by the way, we narrate all the past in the when we ship the garments. We put everything inside the box. Sorry, inside the bag, and printing also the name of the garments. So SA means Swedish, P as a pant, 80 because it's coming from the 80s, and inside, if we cut the garment, we put all the leftover of the garments, and it's nice because you have the original, but you have a model view of the original. So you have, and that's it's like preserving the past, customizing the present, but make it live in the future. Inside also you will have the a tag that explain where these items come from and what the usage that was done in the army that originated this kind. Let's see how it came out. So talking about used garment, sometimes I remember the first time that I was selling my art to some people, and they asked me, ah, so this is a remake. No, no, this is used. And I remember the face of people said, used? Oh, they didn't want to see the collection anymore. But I understand that for some certain people to have a used garment, it's something that might be difficult to wear. But I have to say that the mentality is changing because in any case we sanitize all the garments, we clean them, we wash them. Sometimes we have to repair them also because they are broken. Sometimes the zip is missing, the bottom is missing, and so we have to replace that to make it live back again, to be functional again. But the fact is that used garments have a beautiful story because if it's from the 80s, from the 70s, from the 50s, wow, it has more than 50, 40s, 30 years, and you are making an items that already is old, that already is living since so long. And by the way, people that been use this garment, there are people that did the army, so the usage and the wearability has been very, very strong. And by the way, items that are military based, army based, they are more reinforced. They are more. The fabric strength is higher. The pressure that there is on the loom machine is a pressure that you don't have in normal type of weaving pants, unless there's a specific type of technical garments. But so the wearability of military garments is very high, and the abrasion system is less, compared to many other items in the civil use. So for me, if these items will live back again, it's just give you a longevity to the garment that already have been living so many years, but you give actually a second chance, a second life, a second living that before was not with that purpose. I love that. I love the fact that we have so much of this garment already in big warehouses, and the fact that they live again with a better or with a more positive sense, or with a different use, it's for me is grateful because this means that we are taking something that already exists, not producing and making it live again with the same taste or with a little bit different flavor because once we change and we give a different customization to this garment, it has a different flavor. It has a more sensitivity within the fashion, trendy, probably modern way that there is on the present. And I love that because that means no production. That means that we don't make yarn, we don't make fabric, we don't pollute, we don't, in a sense that we don't wash the garment, dye the garment. It's just something that all of this process is already made. But from it's already made, we are customizing it with Myar. By the way, when we ship the garments, we ship it with inside the box. We don't put plastic, but we actually ship. I never noticed all the. If you go to vintage market, you see this old post bag, right? And they're all made with fabric. They're not made with plastic. So we put everything inside with this type of linen type of cotton fabric. Sorry, and we put it inside, and that's how we will ship it probably. This is actually an approach that, in terms of sustainability, we love to maintain. We don't have the plastic bag. We just have a bag that there's use of internal pocket lining, and we try to maximize with the amount of the product also. By the way, all the amount of the product that we do, it's a product that um, it's the one that we find. So we don't find 1,000 pieces of these pants. I wish, but we find maybe 100, maybe sometimes 20, maybe 5 sometimes. So when we receive the order, we receive exactly that order. So we don't overproduce. It's impossible also to overproduce, and that's was the beauty of Myar. That everything that we make go out, and that's it. When we um, when we try to customize this product, we also try not to dyeing, or even though we used dyeing before, but we use natural dyeing. But this very, very, very limited amount of dyeing process that we do with Myar. I think that our mm, beautiful things in Myar is that we love the product that we wear. We love to customize it. It's not a reflection of how we want mm, how we only want to this product to be seen, but it's actually we like to see the people like wearing it. People that are tall, short, girls. Actually, it's interesting that our key consumer is not guys, but it's girls. Girls have a beauty of wearing military product that gives this grace that men's don't have. If a man's wearing a uniform, it looks very much like a soldier, let's say. But when a girl wears a jacket or pants, it gives that grace that it doesn't exist in a military field, and that gives that probably fashiony or aspect that is very relevant on when girls wear military product. Um, so when this idea of the market, of the vintage market is growing, I've been reading lately on Business Fashion that this market is very up, and probably a third in 20, 15 years from now, a third of our wardrobe will be vintage or use second-hand clothing. Second-hand is growing a lot, but I think we are trained already. The fact is happening this is because we are trained um, because our eyes are already seeing so much. We're already seeing so many things from influencer to social media, how people wear that. Probably we are rejecting that, and it's easy now to go to the vintage market and know how to pick and what to pick. The beauty of a pattern, the beauty of a fabric, a color, a shape, a style. It's today if you go to a vintage market, you find everything. But what we do with my eye is that taking the military clothing, we give a fitting that is more contemporary, and that's something that probably today you don't find in vintage market. So, but I have to say that I'm happy that people are starting to want more to wear used clothing, and yeah, I'm gonna continue more, otherwise I don't work. Something that people have been asking me also, what's the long-term vision of my app? I think, I mean, I don't want to talk about long-term because today long-term is a word that is very hard to say. But to me, what's important is that we fasten up on the slow production in the sense that we have so much already that if we want to know the reason behind the product, I think is very important. And to know the reason behind, you need to also understand what's behind. You need to understand, to read, to get information on how the product is made. I think this is something that we love to make notice with my art, and also give a hint to people on how in the future this sustainable approach, upcycle approach can be done, even from home. You know, I see when we do ourselves stuff that, I mean, when we do some trial of t-shirt or of pants on jacket, we do a dye in house. We make it dirty in house. We paint in house, and it's actually stuff that you can do at home as well. So it's interesting to know that this process can be made by your hands. I love to work with the hands, and I think it's very important that we understand behind um, that is possible to do. That is not just a production production scale or a facility, that corporation that have a lot of um, industry behind that makes this garment. It's possible to do this with second hand, with the vintage clothing, with anything that is already used. We give an aspect to military field that probably has not been how do you say? It's not like that we are passionate about war or passionate about this military aspect, but we love the functional part of military. And by the way, all the company, all the brands that today they are in the market, every season that you see, all the reference, I can guarantee you that is done taking inspiration from the military field, from pocket to shaping to padding to all of this. To the construction of the fabric, all this inspiration comes from military. I think I talked too much, so I think now it's time to say thank you for. I hope you enjoyed the moment, um, and I want to thank you a lot, Lablaco, that gave me this opportunity because thanks to them, today we are here and we are being facing each other, and to their support also with the Fashion Open Studio and Fashion Revolution. Um, Hope you like this moment. I'm a little bit shy, sorry, but I thanks a lot for your time. Ciao, ciao.